Good afternoon, good evening, Marco here. So, we're doing a video again shortly after I just released another video, but this moment in the legislature again caught my eye. I thought it was very interesting. And what I want to talk about with this video is a debate on Motion 27 that was discussed at the very end of the third day of this legislative sitting in Prince Edward Island. I thought, in particular, when Stephen Myers got up to start speaking, I thought his whole speech was very good. I thought it's worth listening to for everyone. There's a couple of very interesting points throughout it that I want to really dig down and examine because I think it's really important and sheds a lot of light and would help frame this debate around the outreach center and drug addiction in Prince Edward Island in a new way, in a much more helpful way. So let's start from the beginning, okay? So this all started because of Motion 27, which I will bring up on the screen. I guess it should, no, this way, should be right here. So let's go over it very quickly. So towards here the end, Motion 27 brought up by Tyler Darash. Therefore, be it resolved that the Legislative Assembly work collaboratively with all levels of government and law enforcement agencies to explore further ways to protect island communities from negative spin-offs as the result of illegal drug trade operations within their neighborhood and communities. And then he goes on to obviously talk about this motion in particular and what it means. And he's a little verbose with it, but I don't understand all the details obviously because it's a motion. He doesn't even have to go into that much detail. But he was talking about how other communities, in particular like Nova Scotia, set up private hotlines that citizens can call, and they can essentially report drug activity that's going on in the area, like residences that are being used as drug houses or places of business. And I guess it will give law enforcement greater powers to do investigations after they get so many reports, and maybe even like change the law in some way so that these buildings can be expropriated and maybe like the individuals like not tried, but then at the same time make the owners responsible for activities that go on the building. So it was all rather vague, so I can't really speak to it for details. So but I have a few concerns with all of that. First of all, it seems to be like the potential to trample on civil liberties is pretty high, when you so you got to be careful with that. And I'm also concerned with duplication of services. I mean, so you're basically adding some other department on top of the police force or another program. It's like you already have police. From what I understand, people can already call their police if they suspect criminal activity occurring in their neighborhood. So I don't know why you want to duplicate the service, but I have a feeling I know why he introduced this motion. I think it's good to at least talk about it. And I think the next clips I'm going to show you are so key because basically we've gotten to the point in Prince Edward Island where members of the PC party have to act as like the official opposition to their own government because in a way I'm not finding like the liberals and the Green Party especially as really effective opposition. In fact, it's hard to find effective opposition in Prince Edward Island because all the political parties are essentially the same, right? I mean, this is what Dennis King and even Peter Bevan Baker, when he was in the official opposition, were essentially bragging about. Oh, in other places of Canada, it's so divisive and they don't get along, but we collaborate. We're so hand in hand. And like, okay, that's great if things are going in the right direction, but if things are going in a bad direction, then the fact that you guys basically see eye to eye on everything is not really good. We don't get an effective look at what else could be working. So this is why it's so critical because this is like really crazy. I never seen it before where like members of the governing party are acting as a more effective opposition than the official opposition. It's truly astounding. But let's start off with showing you the first relevant clip that I seen from Stephen Myers here. And first, after Tyler Drosh, I believe it was Jamie Foxx that got up and started talking, and then it was I'm sorry, Gord McNeely, I think is his name, was the other guy. And anyway, I thought Stevens was just like just great. So let's get to that clip now, and then we'll talk about it after.
I think that when Brad McConnell said, that they basically can't charge these people anymore, it was like, wow. Like we need services to help people, yes. I don't disagree with that for a second. And I think that, the Minister of Housing has talked about this a lot, and I think the file's in good hands to bring it in a direction that, that people can be happy with. But policing, I think, is an important part of it. Not being able to police it appropriately because of the federal government is quite disappointing.
Okay, so the individual that Stephen Myers brought up was Brad McConnell, which, looking online here, is the chief of police for the Charlottetown Police Services. And from what I've heard from other people, what other people have said is that there's been some kind of direction or order from the federal government, or Trudeau in particular, pushing this idea that drug offenders and the crimes that they commit are not going to be prosecuted. They don't want these people arrested. It's, I guess, part of this whole new approach that we try and rehabilitate them by. I don't understand it. I feel so stupid saying this. I mean, I'm trying not to strawman this argument. I really want to present it in the best light and not misunderstand it. But what is it? Are we seriously saying that no, we don't put these people in jail? We give them needles and we give them safe injection sites and safe supply. I feel so stupid saying it. I have to be mistaken, right? That can't be your position. But I see no other way. I mean, when I see the news, that seems to be the policy. So anyway, so I guess the order has gone out that the police can't arrest these people, and Stephen Myers, after 3 days, is the only one that brought this up in the legislature. I mean, the way I see it, it should have been Hal Perry, the leader of the opposition, should have asked the Premier, do you believe in this approach? Do you believe in not arresting criminals who are also happen to be drug users? I'd really like to see what his response to that is. I would really like to see it. But we didn't get a chance, so now Stephen Myers brings it up, debating this motion, which I think is very important. And prior to this, there was Gord McNeely. I'm sorry if I get that name wrong. He, in his statement, said something very similar, that he was talking with police along with the Minister for Public Safety, and he said that the police have told them that the area is now unpoliceable. I mean, that's a pretty big statement right there. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. I mean, if he did say that, I mean, that's something that should be brought up to a public committee, and we should ask further questions and figure out, have the police essentially given up on that area? Because if they have, that's a big concern, right? So the way I see it, civilization is built, is like the edifice of civilization is built on a foundation of providing security and peace, right? So we start off that's the main foundation, and then from that you can expand, you can branch out into food security, shelter, and then after you got your very basic needs taken care of, you move on to education, and then further up, higher education, and then you can provide roads and businesses and parks and nature and all that other things. But all of that is built on the foundation of security. The main building block of civilization in the area is crumbling and is under assault. This is by far the most important number one issue that needs to be focused on. Have the police has Gordon McNeely suggested they're truly given up on the area? Because if they have, that is a serious concern that needs to be addressed like yesterday. So that's very important to look, to examine. But okay, that's it for the first clip. Let's now move on to the second clip that I want to discuss. And here it goes.
So I think that, well, I mean, I haven't heard you offer a single solution to this problem. I've heard you pander.
I just did today.
No, I've heard you pander. I've heard you pretend that you were in favor of these folks that are fighting against it. Not to them, but you didn't say it to them. He had a chance at committee. No, they were a committee right in front of you. You wouldn't even look them in the eye and say, I'm with you. No, I watched it on TV. I watched it on TV. Not once did you say you support them. Not once did you even say you heard them.
One question.
You have to be, look, if you're going to be taken seriously in this, you have to get behind something. You have to stand for something. I think that's the problem. I think that's why you guys only got like, what, 12,000 votes the last election. It's because you won't get behind anything. You won't stand for anything. I think it matters. And I think people are watching. And I think people know that liberalism has caused a lot of issues in this country. Quite frankly, all of them.
You guys are more liberal than we are.
Well, I don't know. I can only speak for me. I can only speak for me. I know who I am. I know who I am. Anyways, Madam Speaker, what I want to reiterate.
Okay, so that was a very interesting clip there from Stephen Myers. I included the original part because I thought it was interesting, the little back and forth he had with Gordon McNeely there, and I think he brings up some interesting point about the opposition not standing up for anything. When I first started getting political in PI in like 2013-14, I actually did get a PC. At the time, it was Liberals under Giz that were in power, and so the PCs were the official opposition. And I remember during the first meeting that I went there, I told them the same thing, like, look, you guys, like, you do a lot of criticizing some days. You criticize the government for not spending enough money. The next day you'll go in and you criticizing them for spending too much money. It's like, I go on your website, there's no policy whatsoever. It's kind of really hard to see what you stand for. And I made that same criticism, so it's funny how now he's accusing them of that. It's just funny. It's just nothing's changed in PI the way I see it. PC and Liberals, they're pretty much the same party, guys. I mean, we can pretend there's a difference there. I personally don't see it. But anyway, that's actually the part that I want to talk about when basically Myers was talking about liberalism and saying, oh, that's how all the problems we're facing now is because of that. And then McNeely replied to him, but your party is more liberal than us. And Myers didn't really deny that accusation, and I thought that was a very telling moment. So I want to kind of break that down and see what it means. Now, is the PC party more liberal than the Liberals? I don't know, that's debatable. I guess we would have to argue, what does it mean to be a liberal? It's a term that's changed. I mean, the Liberals of Justin Trudeau is not the Liberals of Chrétien or Paul Martin. They're two different beasts. And, so are we talking about liberals, or are we talking about this new woke agenda that's coming up? Is that liberalism now? Is woke liberalism, or is it just like a different strain of liberalism? I don't know what to make of it. We would have to have a lot of debate about the terms here. But overall, I would think it's debatable. I mean, the PCs, like I said, the PCs and Liberal are the same party. There's no real difference there. This is why I kind of hated, like I mentioned previously, King's whole approach, basically saying that how he really looks forward to collaborating with the other parties and Prince Edward Island, and then he would brag to the media about how in other provinces, oh yeah, they're so divisive and they're so nasty, we're just, oh gosh, we just get along, and we don't fight and all those things. Well, man, I think maybe to straighten things out in PI, we need to have a good fight. We need to have vigorous debates about what the correct course of action should be on certain issues, because it's clearly not going in the right direction. So I actually have a funny story from this. Basically, when I was kind of involved with the PC party, I remember one meeting in particular where we were talking about branding, and I said, you know, guys, I don't know what progressive conservative means. I mean, you can't be both a progressive and a conservative at the same time. I think we should just like remove the word progressive from the party and call it the Conservative Party or PI. And of course, there were a bunch of people that freaked out. Like when you say something like that, I literally heard like half the room like go, you know, like grasp, like shocked, like how could he say something like that? But you know, I guess, you know, 7 years after, I feel confident in saying that I was right. That you know, this is what happens when you don't figure out what the party stands for. You get this monstrosity that's the King government that you can't tell if it's any different than Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party, because it really doesn't, right? And it's actually hilarious how much the King government rejects just the idea of being conservative or the conservative label. I remember right around the same time that I made this suggestion that we should remove progressive from the name. There was a big issue at the time. I think this was around 2015, where like CBC and the Guardian would refer to the party as the Conservatives, and then at one point or another, the Progressive Party sent out like a public memo or published a news release basically saying, hey, to the media, hey, from now on, can you call us the Progressive Conservatives? We don't want to be associated with conservatism whatsoever. And you know, that makes sense, because from what I see, there's nothing conservative about this party. So again, I found it interesting how Myers was basically saying that like, hey, you know, like like I can only speak for myself here, I'm not speaking for the party, basically admitting that like the PC party is essentially like a liberal party as it stands now. And you know, I get how the people of PEI might have been confused at election time, you know, because again, the Progressive Conservatives do have the conservative name attached to it. So if you want to be a progressive party, I think that's fine. What I think the Progressive Conservative Party or PI should do is just call themselves the Progressive Party. Don't have the conservative name attached to it, so that the next time there is an election, people know that they are not going to get any shred of conservatism by voting for Dennis King. I think that's a step in the right direction. Like, and I'll be very forthright. I consider myself a libertarian. I don't think conservatism is the right answer completely, but I think it would represent a substantial improvement in Prince Edward Island if we could at least get a little conservatism in the current government. I think it would be a step in the right direction, like especially an emphasis on public safety. Like, I don't know what the deal is right now, but what would be so wrong, like this motion asks a collaborative approach with all levels of government, if the city, the police, the province all sat down in a room and decided, hey, you know, I don't care what the mandate is from the feds, from now on we're just going to start enforcing the law. And I don't care if you're a drug addict, if you commit a violent crime in the city of Charlottetown, you get arrested, you get put before a judge. If you're found guilty, you're sentenced, and then you serve your time. I don't know if that's really such a difficult or scandalous thing to do. I mean, what is Justin Trudeau going to do about that? I mean, let's be honest here, the man politically, let's not misconstrue my words here, politically the man is a dead man walking. Like, he'll be really lucky if he can make it to the next election before his own party takes him out, okay? He has no political capital left. I mean, so the idea that Prince Edward Island should take their orders from what is essentially a corrupt politician from Quebec, I find that kind of insulting, honestly. I don't think like I said, he can't do anything about it. What do we think? He's going to resurrect his political career by fighting for the rights of drug users to terrorize their neighborhoods? I don't think that's going to help him. His poll numbers, which are plummeting at an alarming rate. So having said that, I think that could be like an option to look at, but that's, I guess, all I'm going to say on that clip. Now let's take a look at the last clip and then wrap up the video, which is getting pretty long.
People in this province deserve representation. There's an MLA for that area. The MLA for that area should be the leader of the cause, not Johnny. Not that you're not doing a great job. I think you're doing a fantastic job. But people deserve representation. And anybody who knows my career, I got behind every issue in my district. We fought to keep schools open. We fought against amalgamation. Every time that I was needed in my district, I was right here. We fought to get the shipyard open. We didn't get it open. We didn't win every battle, but every time there was an issue in my district, I brought it here to the floor over and over again, and you can look it up because it's all in record. 12 years of that, where I stood up for my community, over and 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 over again, because that is my job. That is your job. Your job is to defend your community.
So I thought that was a neat little way to wrap up this whole video, you know. Like I said, I was really impressed with Meyer's whole speech on this motion. I thought it was, it's finally good to see someone that brings some fire into the legislature, some courage, and most of all, a willingness to fight for what is right, because that's what's missing right now in that legislature. So I was really impressed, and I think if other members can sort of tackle the issues with the same spirit that he brought in on that particular issue, I think, like, I'm not saying, like, I know we don't agree on everything, but I think that spirit, like I said, he's willing to fight. And also, I didn't show any of these clips, but he also, you know, he was humble enough to say that, like, you know, I don't know the solutions to this issue, so I should, like, you know, really listen to other people. Even if I don't agree with it, I need to listen to it and consider it, you know. So like, you know, I really appreciate that, like, a willingness to listen but at the same time fight. I think, like, if we can somehow harness this sort of spirit and tackle this issue with the ways he's suggesting, I think that is possibly a way out of this mess. And I was really impressed, and yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys essentially. So let me know what you guys think about this whole issue. Were you guys impressed as well, or were you guys like, what do you make of the clips that you saw? I'm really interested to see what everybody in PI's opinion is on this issue. Like I guess on social media, since it's dominated by liberals, Myers has on social media, he has a really negative opinion. Like I hear that he's often a bully or whatnot, but like, I don't know, with these clips I saw, like I was really impressed. Like, I'll be honest right now, like, from what I see, I'd feel a lot safer about the future of PI if he was the premier right now. Like, I was really impressed, but like again, I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm gonna cut it out now. I'm talking too long. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye for now.